Hegseth talked about people in the military having to shave their beards, which immediately made me think of this guy, Peter the First of Russia, and let's talk all about him. Peter I is known as being Peter the Great, and I hate it when people have names that are the great or the terrible, because then it forces students to just see them through one lens as either good or bad, but y'all, people are good and bad. So let's talk about the pros and cons of Peter. Peter is ruling in the late 1600s in Russia, and it's at this time that there's this huge divide between Western Europe and Eastern Europe. Peter ascends to the throne and he's like, hey, I'm looking around and I'm seeing that maybe we're not as advanced as our Western counterparts, so I'm going to take it upon myself to Westernize Russia. He tours Europe, he takes a shipbuilding course in England, he tours the shipyards of the Netherlands and comes back and says, the first thing I'm going to do is restart this army and also build up a navy from scratch. The problem, most of this is frozen year round, so what's he going to do with the navy? How's he going to build one? Well, he builds St. Petersburg, which gives him access to a warm water port and lets him build up this navy. Yes, but in doing so, it's through forced labor. He also drains a swamp in order to build it, and hundreds of people die. He built this city to look just like Western Europe, and we can credit that to the Dutch and Italian architects who are helping him build things like the Winter Palace. So he builds this navy from scratch, and then he completely redoes the military by establishing his table of ranks, which promotes people hot take based on how good they are at their job, based on merit, not based on who their parents are. And then he defeats Sweden in the Great Northern War, but also military service was a 25-year conscription, and he kind of killed and resisted people who went against him in his rule. But his tax and trade reforms increased their treasury sixfold, and he also establishes the Russian Academy of Sciences. He let people marry for fun based on who they want to marry, not based on arranged marriages from their parents. So in his pursuit of Westernization, he forced the boyars, the nobility in Russia, to send their kids to Western Europe to be educated, and he completely changes their fashion, including, you guessed it, cutting off the beards. Or if you wanted to keep your beard, you actually had to pay a special beard tax in order to do so. He writes and publishes an etiquette book called The Honorable Mirror of Youth, in which he outlines exactly how people, especially nobility, should behave so that Russia can compete with what's going on in Western Europe at the time. I love to have this debate in class. First off, is Westernization good at the expense of getting rid of your own culture? And also, to what extent does this person actually deserve the title the Great? Because sure, he did some good things, but he also did a lot of good things, and it's no coincidence that Western history textbooks are the ones who call him Peter the Great and not Peter the First. Anyway, you can relate basically anything that's happening in 2025 with something that has happened in history, and that's why I love teaching so much.